Hi, you're listening to the Big Sound Small Town podcast, where you will hear all the big sounds from a small town perspective. I am your host, Sandy Carlton, and this podcast is brought to you from our friends at Defiant Whiskey, distilled in beautiful Golden Valley, North Carolina. So, how do contra dancer musicians become actually mainstream?
How does one?
I mean, so you guys are actually on a happening deal these days, okay?
Well, thank you. It's very flattering.
You start your career as contra dancer.
Yeah,
player.
It's a great question. Yeah. I mean, I would say I kind of came from the opposite direction. I was playing with other roots bands and then came into the contra dance world. So, you know, we've tried to do the things that the music industry wants you to do. We do these conferences. We're just trying to get in front of the people.
Yeah, you have to do that. I mean, there's a lot of that.
But, you know, the thing that's really benefited us is, like, everywhere we go in North America, contra dancers come out to the shows. And, you know, they'll heckle us a bit because they'd rather we be playing for a dance.
Sure.
But, you know.
And it is cultish. I mean, you know, contra dance is like cigar smoking.
It's a counterculture sort of thing. People, you can spot them across the room.
Yeah, you can. That's something else. Because I used to fiddle them at them, those and square dances.
Yeah.
Which can be a long evening of playing pretty much the same stuff, you know.
It's really physically demanding, you know.
And you can't really mess up because it gets everybody's steps out of whack, you know.
I would say. So as far as like how contra dancing fit into our band's development, there's I don't think it's unique specifically to contra dancing, but there's an interesting part of it where, like, when you specialize, like when you as a musician are providing music for like something that's quite specialized, like people are looking for a very specific skill set, they're looking for a very specific experience, and when you can provide that, you get a lot of really passionate goodwill from people who are really looking for someone to like see them and their interests and their needs very directly. So you're not just like playing any old music, you're playing music for their experience. And we did that for long enough and traveled enough with it that it really was, even though it's it's incredibly niche and a very small world, but what it did was provide us like a very broad base, a very broad start to a fan base. You know, all over North America, there were people who were familiar with us through this niche thing that have been able to follow us into the broader kinds of music that we've pursued.
I think what I was getting ready to ask you. Is a large portion of your fan base based in contra dance?
Well, it's where it started, and we've grown now, and we're playing different kinds of music, and it's all broader now. But that was a avenue that got us that was able to facilitate us traveling and developing our initial fan base that we don't take for granted.
I think, it's like with any band these days, you really have to make your fan base one person at a time. Mm-hmm. Like you have to know these people. You have to have a relationship with them, unless you get the magic, touch from the algorithms or whatever. Sure. But we're doing it. We're a working band, and we're just trying to win fans one person at a time.
Well, I mean, that works. And festivals like this is a pretty good place to pick up fans, because this is it's not just a bluegrass festival.
It sure isn't.
No, and I keep feeling this sort of like, man, I always wished I could have been at Merlefest the first few years when they were still doing it on the flatbed. Yeah, and I'm like, I hope that we all can look back at this and think about these early years of like, we were there.
Oh, let's do this and back up a step. You need to introduce yourselves, both of you two, and tell them.
My name is Andrew Van Nostrand. I play in a band called the Faux Paws.
Yep. And I'm Chris Miller. I'm the other person from that band here.
Yeah, we should have started off with that, but we do things different on this podcast. So it's Y'all are actually, where are y'all based out of, really?
So the accurate answer is a bit long, but we often say Vermont because it is home for some of us and a spiritual home for the rest of us.
Yeah. We're kind of all scattered these days, but we meet and
I bet you I know where you guys do. Did you do some festivals here in Black Mountain or somewhere? Did you go to?
We did Leaf.
We've played Leaf. We've played Leaf a few times.
I bet you Leaf is where I'll back this up for our listeners. So there's some people who drove from Nashville to here, all students, music majors at Belmont College, just to see you guys.
Yeah, we're excited to see them.
So they're
Yeah, maybe they were Leaf kids. Or
yeah,
something, right?
and I know that I don't know. They're not contra dancers though. I didn't know that.
Well, not yet.
But true. They're also okay. If you live in the Asheville area, then most likely you're a contra dancer at some point.
Well, yeah, or you've dated one.
Hey, well, this is true.
You're in a polycule with one.
Yeah.
Asheville is a really unique place for contra dance. Every kind of regional dance community has its own flavor, and Asheville certainly does.
Yeah, and so I figure they didn't. I don't think I haven't seen much of it in Nashville, so I figured that possibly they're bringing that from some kind of North Carolina base. Although they all one of them probably injected everybody else,
It's often how it happens.
So which is a good thing though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth saying that Noah, our fiddler, who's not here for this interview, is just a monster of a musician and has composed so many tunes, hundreds and hundreds of tunes, and a couple of them were bound to catch fire with young fiddlers who want to learn new stuff. Sure. So we do get a lot of young fiddlers that have been influenced by him, and that's a cool thing.
And Noah's approach is really he just breathes this stuff. Like earlier today, someone was saying Noah does this foot percussion thing that is somewhat similar to what they do in Quebec, and he does this foot percussion while he's playing fiddle. And someone was saying how do how are you so ambidextrous so you can be doing these separate things with different parts of your body? And honestly, with Noah, there is no separate. It's all one thing. He just lives and breathes dance music, and he can move people. Physically move people like no one else.
Also, I mean, I guess he has a contra dance background himself.
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
And, it's a good idea for anyone who wants to play music to learn how to dance. You don't have to be a great dancer, but you should learn about the physical mechanics of what a person's doing when they're dancing, because music, whether or not you're playing music for dance, most social music came from dance music.
Well, I will tell you, it's great for your timing.
Yep.
I mean, dancers know when the beat's wrong.
That's right.
They even know if it's like you're playing at 118 and it's supposed to be 120. They don't have a problem in telling you can play a little fast. You realize y'all are playing that too fast, or you're playing that too slow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about your you need to move your body through space and through space and time in such a specific way that you don't run into the 6 other people that are within inches of you, and you're depending on the music to facilitate that whole experience, and so it really does matter.
You reckon he ever saw John Hartford?
I never had the pleasure to. Did you ever see John Hartford?
You think your fiddler had ever seen John?
I think he had passed away just before we were in the scene.
He was really good at fiddling and dancing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Which is a really neat. It is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
I really regret that I didn't get to ever see him, but we all have a deep love for John Hartford.
Absolutely.
He was wonderful guy too. Quirky, but hey, we're all musicians, So, so I appreciate you guys coming by and do this. Let's say, you got new stuff in the works?
We got a new record coming out early next year. We just got to hear the final masters last week, and we're really excited about that. So we got to spend the next couple months working on artwork and all the other elements that go into a release. But yeah, you could look for that early in 2025.
Yeah, we're planning on coming back through this area next year. We love Western North Carolina.
It is a good music place for the music that you guys do.
Yeah. Thanks so much for talking to us.
I'm sure every place is that way. I'm sure you're going to make it.
Well, every place is different. We were just in Colorado, and that's really interesting because they have a different sort of history with this music, and they were accepting in a different way. But here it's really like everyone's steeped in the traditions, they grew up with it, and so they're hearing us through that lens, and they're super welcoming too. So we love it.
I appreciate you guys taking time. I know
Thanks.
it's a busy schedule, so thank you.
Take care, man.